Looking back, there was a clue.
What do you stopped doing Studio G and you're ending Vegas? Is there something, I know you don't like to sit around, what's next for you after this?
You know what, I have no idea. You'll get this, Evan. I'm married to one of the greatest singers on the planet. So it wouldn't hurt my feelings at all to go out and just support her as she goes and brings her music to people. So I feel like, we'll figure out what we're going to do.
That was filmed on October 1st, just days before Jane Roe's case against Garth Brooks was filed in California. Since Garth unretired in 2014, he's been non-stop. An arena tour, honky-tonk tours, 5 new albums, a stadium tour, a bar, a Las Vegas residency. It just seemed really un-Garth-like to just take a beat. Of course, we really had no reason to doubt him. It's been 5 years since Trisha Yearwood released a new album, so it for sure felt overdue. Garth signaled a slowdown, or at least a shift, earlier in the year when he announced his Las Vegas residency was ending, and when he shared that Inside Studio G would wrap up. Both of these moves seemed on time. 2 years is a pretty good amount of time to play Las Vegas, and Inside Studio G had run its course.
The only thing I know that's on my calendar for next year right now is the Habitat build next year as well.
It turns out that Garth Brooks did know a lawsuit could be coming by July 17th of this year. That's when he said he received a letter from Jane Roe's lawyers with all the accusations. Another came in August, and he's labeled both as an attempt at extortion. This video won't judge the facts of the case, as you've let us know that you appreciate objectivity to the extent possible, but we will look at the reaction from Garth and his team, Jane Roe and her team, and country music fans and industry. That last group matters, because reputation is ultimately what Garth Brooks is trying to protect. For 3+ decades, he's drawn an Oprah-like reverence, and that'd absolutely be shattered if he's not fully acquitted. Subscribers know we get right to the point, so let's begin right there. Here is a list of celebrities who've gone on the record to support Garth Brooks. Now, that does seem a little ominous until you realize a similar number have spoken up against him. It's been crickets from the artist community, and I think there's 2 reasons for that. Us Weekly talked to an insider that said those close to him were stunned and don't believe he's capable of what he's being accused of. A few days later, People spoke with another insider that said even people who dislike Garth Brooks are shocked. This speaks to the second reason. Y'all, 2 different sources insisted on remaining anonymous and really only said what's kind of obvious to everyone: these allegations are shocking. I don't want to say that people are afraid of Garth Brooks, but he's a really big deal, and no one wants to be in front of an insinuation only to be proven wrong later. This isn't the first time that it's been radio silence when accusations of sexual assault were levied. In 2023, Jimmy Allen was accused, and nobody spoke up then either. It's tempting to think that the silence is damning. I actually think the opposite. As a culture, we're too quick to spout off with a tweet or a post on social media. Do we really need more chaos or division in our lives around this really sensitive issue? Maybe it'd be great page views or YouTube views if some superstar did spout off on Garth Brooks. But to be honest, those kind of stories are exhausting. I'm okay with a more measured response. How about you? Comment below. Garth's response is next. He immediately denied wrongdoing after the accusations were made public, but he'd already responded with a bit more muscle by then. You're going to find a link to the timeline for all of these things below, but in September, he filed a preemptive lawsuit in Mississippi trying to get Jane Doe to proceed under pseudonyms. In that, he described something close to blackmail and argued that the case should proceed under pseudonyms because, quote, filing under his name in the public docket would cause the same irreparable harm to plaintiff's reputation and goodwill that he seeks to avoid through this lawsuit. Once the suit was filed, he shared this picture from a show in Las Vegas, just thanking fans, and then he briefly touched on the issue during Inside Studio G.
This thing is on. It's going to happen, and people are telling me it could be up to 2 years, okay? So my suggestion is we all take a deep breath. We all just kind of settle in, and let's hold hands and take the trip together, okay? Because it is something that you cannot talk about. It's not, that's all we can say about it.
Garth isn't leaving any room for nuance or quasi-guilt. He's flat out saying that this woman is after his money and he wants a trial by jury to decide. And, to go back to the clip at the beginning of this video, plus what he said on Facebook, he's preparing for a pretty long fight. There's no whiff of settlement yet, and that makes sense because, as he stated in the September 13th filing, his reputation is what's most important to him here. Garth hasn't filed an official response to Jane Roe's California lawsuit yet, but on October 8th he did amend his own September claim in Mississippi, asking a judge to dismiss it and this is most important, using his name and his accuser's real name in the documents. We're not going to echo that here. Journalistically, it's improper to name someone alleging rape or sexual assault unless he or she does so first. That's not bias as much as it is just a universal set of rules to handle all cases equally. Her lawyers were furious about this, as was some portion of the population, while others stood by him and said that she should be named because she named him. I don't want to assume his motivations for naming his accuser, but all of this points to a man willing to fight until the very end. Jane Roe isn't fooling around either. I mentioned in a previous video that her claim is light on actual evidence, but that doesn't mean she doesn't have the evidence. She's likely going to need to produce texts or emails that she refers to proceed. Her lawyer is Douglas H. Wigdor, which, who is that, right? Well, he's actually the guy who repped many victims in a case against Harvey Weinstein, plus several other high-profile cases. The Financial Times called him America's top Me Too lawyer. He's not just taking cases on a whim. This isn't Saul Goodman from Breaking Bad or something. The dude's in it to win and get the justice that he feels his clients deserve. It feels like a stretch to believe that he'd have taken this case if he didn't see evidence, but that part of this video is purely my opinion and some speculation. One last thing. Oftentimes, a second accuser will feel emboldened to come forward after a first person makes some charges. That was the case with Harvey Weinstein and Country's Jimmy Allen, and it's been the case before that. So far, 12 days after charges levied against Garth Brooks were filed, there has been no second accuser. I don't know if that's pertinent yet, and it certainly could change, but I mentioned how no one has come forward to support Garth Brooks or present evidence that he couldn't have done what Jane Roe says he did. The same is true for her. As of now, it's just her word against his. I'm Billy Dukes for Taste of Country. Thanks for watching, and thanks for subscribing.